really the only thing we have in this world is our reputations. So as long as we treat people well, that's the only thing we live by. We get back to people, we treat them as well as we can. We answer the phone, we do what we say we're going to do. And that's all we can really be asked of. And if we do that, it's worked pretty well.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cincinnati Real Producers Podcast, powered by Next Door Photos. I'm Patrick Braddock, owner and publisher of Cincinnati Real Producers.
And I'm Daniel Ziegler, owner of Next Door Photos. Every week, we're getting to know Cincinnati's top realtors.
Our goal is to elevate and inspire the real estate community throughout greater Cincinnati.
Today, we have Mike Hines, co-founder of Hines, brokered by Coldwell Banker Realty. Mike has been selling real estate since 2011. Hines' sales volume is over $1 billion, and in 2023 alone, they sold over $200 million in real estate. In his first year as an agent, Mike was honored to receive the Rookie of the Year award at Coldwell Banker. Hines is also recognized as the top team in Cincinnati. Welcome to the show, Mike Hines.
Thanks for having me, fellas. It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming, man.
Of course.
A lot of respect for you, Mr. Mike. A lot of respect for you, sir.
Goes both ways, guys.
I appreciate it, and we appreciate it very much. And thank you for being here.
This one's a long time coming.
This has really been a long time.
Our first episode, we had Scott on. So
Yeah.
Well, and then we were
Finally
trying to be
got you here.
strategic about it, and then we just kind of let the ball drop. So I was like, let's do Scott, and then we'll follow up a few months later with Mike. And then
let's be honest there. I accidentally messed up the dates and I had to cancel on you guys a day or two in advance. So hey, I appreciate you. Give me the benefit of the doubt.
We'll own it.
You can call it like it is, you know. Yeah. And one of the last times I saw Patrick was riding a golf cart with his son when I was over at a buddy's house. It's always good to, we got the fun stuff and we got the work stuff all out there, right, guys?
Cruising by Mike, and then I see him, and we do like the obligatory turnaround in the middle of the street.
Exactly.
Come back in and.
Yeah, my buddy Danny was pretty disappointed. He's like, "You wouldn't stop for me, but you came back for Mike." Yeah, so he's still
sorry, Danny. I know you, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you.
We'll give a shout out to Welling Jewelers.
Yeah,
over on Cincinnati Dayton Road.
great jewelry company.
Yes, he's the man.
Even better really people.
They really truly are. I was just texting with him on the way here.
That's awesome.
Funny enough, but sorry to digress.
No, you're good, man. So, your story is unique in the aspect that we were talking off production that people reach out and I think they want to pick your brain because how unique your business truly is. Mm-hmm. And, before we kind of dive into that, kind of want to lead into what you did before real estate and how you got into it. I know a lot about the reasoning why you got into it, and it's a lot to do with family, I believe, but
absolutely.
what were you into before this, the 2011 time, especially with new builds kind of crashing in 08 a little bit, we
had a front row seat.
And you guys have kind of owned it and really been able to be pillars in the Cincinnati community in tri-state and in Southern Ohio on helping people through that process.
Absolutely,
and doing it the right way. So like what before we kind of dive into that, what did you do before real estate?
So I can go way back, and it's funny because we were talking about family a little bit. I remember my mom's been a real estate agent since as long as I can remember. And I remember when, as a kid, I would walk up and we'd all be screaming, my brother and I, who I work with down today, and we'd be yelling, and all of a sudden my mom would be like, don't do this, you'd be honest. And then all of a sudden the phone rang. Hello, this is Marilyn. So it's funny because I did that last night. I'm like telling my kids to get in the bath, and I'm doing the same thing. Yeah. So I grew up around this. I literally have been... My mom's been in real estate. She was with Comey and Shepherd for a long, long time. My dad has been in real estate forever. He was actually with Klein before Sipsey Klein.
Oh, wow.
So way back when in the 70s. And then he started a development firm after working with Mike Zecca, who's a local builder developer. He worked and ran the land development for a long time. Worked with some great guys over there. So when I graduated college, I kind of knew this was the route I wanted to go. I knew I liked real estate. I enjoyed everything about it. It was pretty cool. I used to be the kid that was shoveling the curbs at the job sites. So when we talk about helping clients out, like that's literally what I grew up doing. I was weed whipper for 8 hours a day sometimes, shoveling curbs, learning how to drive bobcats, do whatever it takes.
That's awesome.
So I was around it. And then when my dad, when I graduated college, I just said, hey, would like to work for you. Well, the problem it was around 2006, 2007 when the market was just right on the edge of, we didn't know at the time, dropping off the cliff.
Yeah.
So, of course, I started working with him. A year later, we went from selling 100 lots one year to maybe like 3 or 4 the next year.
Wow.
So when I say it fell off a cliff, it did. It fell hard.
It's the Grand Canyon, man.
Oh, it was tough. It was a tough go, but I think I learned more in the next from 2008 to 2010 in just resiliency. And I learned a lot of this from my dad because my dad went through, looking back, I'm what, 23, 24, 25 years old, not really understanding what's going through, what he's going through.
Right.
And he kept the best attitude. He just kind of just still got up, went to work every day, tried to figure it out, going through the hardest time of his life, but yet still continued to get up and do it, even when it was hard. So that's kind of where I learned. I probably got my work ethic from him and from that. And I want to obviously give props to my mom too, because I saw her, how much she'd hustle. But I kind of knew from that time, like, hey, even when times are hard, you can still, if you just keep working, keep at it, it'll get better. So my dad and I, after everything kind of happened, I went back to get my MBA just because I'm like, hey, you know what, just in case things shit hit the fan again, excuse my language.
Yeah,
I need to make sure I'm in good shape to where I have a backup plan. So I got my MBA, and that's when my dad and I just talked. We're like, you know what, let's start something different. Let's not do the big master plan developments. So that's what he was doing before, like, big communities. Let's not take off that much risk at a time. Let's just start off with like one single family tear down. And literally that's what we're doing. So you talked about in 2011, it's funny because I got my license in 2007 just for the development firm. And then in 2010, we joined Coldwell Banker. And so from the beginning to the end, I think I sold like 3 houses. Like it wasn't like I was setting the world on fire. It was a long road to try to do it out. Now I was going back to school. We were trying to get our feet under us, all that sort of thing. But by the time 2011, 12 rolled around, we finally started to figure out our niche.
Yeah.
But it takes a while. I think that's what I didn't realize. Like you want to kind of just jump into it and start selling.
Right.
It was a grind for a while. But I was used to the grind because I just gone through collecting unemployment, going to work for my dad, to all of a sudden just saying, okay, hey, we're selling a house or 2. We're doing okay. We're figuring out it. And I got to just attribute a lot of credit to my dad and getting me really into this and getting the hunger and the fun out of it all. So that's kind of where it came from. I say long story short or short story long.
No, but I think that opens the conversational dialogue that it opens it up to a few different avenues. But one of them is, in the beginning there where you, and we're going to dive into really your specialty, but in the beginning, did you do a lot of resale?
Not much.
Really?
We did a little bit for friends, family, just acquaintances. Just because it was in front of us. We knew the markets that they were in, but it wasn't like we knew. Even to this day, like can I sell a resale home? Of course. Like, I mean, I can figure it out and I know what to do. Right. I know I've done a decent amount of it, but you know what? Scott Euler, he's the better one of that. Yeah. Scott and Heather on the team, and even my brother and some other agents on the team, I can do it and I can probably do a pretty good job, but they can do a better job. So I wouldn't be as equipped as they would.
Sure. So
that's kind of why we'll get into the merger like down the road, but we were selling a few here and there. But our focus was finding lots. We wanted to find lots in Montgomery. We asked ourselves a pretty simple question way back when. We just said, hey, when the market comes back, because in 2010 it wasn't back by any means, we said, where would it go first? And our assumption was it was going to go to places like Montgomery, Madeira, places that people wanted to be. And that's kind of what we focused on, just finding land and lots. And I'm telling you, it was finding 1 or 2 every quarter. That was it. It wasn't finding a lot of properties. And so we were kind of a cross between a developer and a real estate agent, right? We were trying to find land, but if somebody wanted to sell land, we would do that too. Yeah. So we kind of fell into the brokerage side of it accidentally. That wasn't the plan. It was more of like, hey, let's look for land, look for good opportunities, and we'll see where it took us. And then the opportunistic side just said, okay, hey, gosh, we can do a pretty good job over here. Let's help go that route.
Sure.
So selling a few resales here and there, but it really wasn't anything to write home about. That's for sure.
Right. Your eye was on the prize of teardowns and rebuilds.
Exactly. And just like you guys, like you start your business with one plan in mind, and then you have to pivot. You continually have to pivot, right? Sure. You're like, okay, hey, gosh, I thought this was going to work. That didn't work quite as well as I want. So then let's try this over here, try that. Throw enough stuff against the wall and see what sticks. That's kind of what happened. Getting started. Yeah. So I'd like to say we were geniuses and we just had this exact idea. This is it. That's
why everybody's calling you, man. They don't want to have to go through the hardships that you've gone through.
Yeah, we still go through them every day. So that's how we got there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we really I'm like chomping at the bit to dive into more of the business stuff. But before we go there, I always, Pat loves to point this out. I love to talk about family and just kind of some of the personal aspect of things too. And just get to know you better for our listeners as well. So
Sure.
You want to just tell us about your family and kind of things
Sure.
that you all like to do?
Sure. So we're fortunate enough with Logan and I to have 3 little kids. We have 3, a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And they are like, man, they take a lot of energy, but they give you a lot of energy at the same time.
Yeah.
They're awesome. So boy, girl, boy, meaning like, so we have Sophie, who's my daughter. She's my youngest. And then we have William, who's my son. I call him Bill, which is also my dad's name as well, which I'm not sure he loves yet. Poor guy.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he does. And then we have Poppy, who's my 7-year-old daughter, and they are awesome. They got more energy than I can ever imagine. That's kind of, it's funny because every year we do our vision planning, and then the why are we doing this? The big why is like to just be able to create experience with them, to be able to have the luxuries to do fun things with them.
Mm-hmm.
And our job is really, really hard when it comes to just balancing time.
Yeah.
So that's, if you talk to any real estate agent, that's probably what they'll say. It's just because you really don't have any off hours. So trying to find that so then you can spend the true quality time and plan out with them. But yeah, so 3 kids, we travel a heck of a lot with them. We bounce around. We try to juggle the job as best we can so we can have dedicated time with them. Not the perfect parent, probably, as everybody would say, but I try like hell to give them whatever they want and have a lot of fun with them and just enjoy it. So I'm so fortunate. They're awesome little kids. So yeah, so that's it. Awesome. And then it's funny because I mentioned my dad and my mom a few times as well. I'm fortunate enough to have my brother and my sister. My sister lives, if I see her house from where we are right now, she lives close by. She has a 7-year-old daughter. My brother has a 5-year-old son. So we got this little group of us right here with the cousins.
Co-ed basketball team, man.
I'm telling you. Yeah. You should see
awesome.
Bob. You should interview Bob one of these days. His son's a meatball, and that kid, he'll be good at whatever he does.
I've seen him at the Y, man.
Oh, yeah, you've seen him basketball. Yeah.
I've seen him playing, man. Bob gives it the nod.
Yeah. Roman does the nod too over there and stuff like that. Yeah. So we're so lucky. We got a great little family unit with us.
That's awesome.
To get to do all this kind of stuff. And
for you,
we're fighting right now, Logan and I, on who, which one of the kids is going to fall in which one of our footsteps right now. It's like, who's going to go into real estate and then who's going to go into my wife's business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say there's another caveat to that is the fact that your wife's a business owner as well.
She is.
And the fact that you're balancing all of that, it's
a juggle.
We talked off air. Like that's not easy to do, man.
No, it's not easy. You just got to give yourself, we talk about this a lot, Scott and I, you just got to give yourself as much of the benefit of the doubt and give your spouses that, your kids that.
Sure.
Like I'm sure you guys see the same thing, right? Being self-employed, because that's essentially what we all are, right? It's like you have to give yourself a little grace and a little latitude to do it, and know that sometimes you're going to make great decisions, sometimes you're going to make not the greatest ones, right?
For sure.
So just give yourself a little bit. It's tough, but I'll say it's tough. We are so fortunate with what we have. It gives us a lot of luxuries to be able to do it. So like I always say, like whenever I'm in the dumps, try to change the gears as much as you can to kind of think about how fortunate we are because we are. Man, we're damn lucky. That's a fact. So
I mean, I'm lucky just to be associated with you guys, just because Mike and Scott invited me to a bourbon tasting last year, and I don't know what it is, but they must have rigged this raffle. But Mike starts getting his name called. First of all, everybody had to leave, so it's just me and Mike sitting there tasting.
We had to do it. I mean, it was
some
tough,
delicious bourbons. It was somebody had to stay, and then his name just keeps getting called. So he's like, bottle after bottle after bottle just lining up. He's like, what am I going to do with all this? I'm like, dude, he's like, you want one of these? I was like, do I?
It's like Oprah Winfrey, like, you get a car and you get a car.
It was incredible. I was like, man, thank you so much. It was really cool.
It's because Scott gave me because there was an event that Scott had donated to go to, and Scott gave me all his tickets, and we just got lucky.
Yeah. We're just like, at one point we're just laughing. They're like, this number, and Mike's just, and people are like booing. They're like, are you kidding?
Yeah, we were trying to hand them out, so it didn't look like we literally cheated. Gosh.
We're good people. So
no, that is what it's all about. Like, and honestly, I'll give Scott a ton of credit on this front. Like, this the community, like just the people that you're around, like seeing you on Saturday at the holiday event, like getting to do that kind of stuff together, the bourbon tasting. That's so much fun. Yeah. Like, I mean, you get to do that. Yeah, it can wear you out. Like some of those events, you do them a lot for your company. They can wear you out, but that's kind of what gives you a lot of energy just to be out there, because you get to see people and you're not just then you're not in the client, agent perspective. It's more of just like, hey, you're just two people hanging out.
Just a friend. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's just be friends.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So kind of dialing back in. So the niche, man, you guys develop, cultivate, build. I mean, you have partnerships with some of the better builders in the city. the thought process behind that, and when you guys, so before you merged with Euler and created Euler Hines, you guys had created Build Collective. And I thought it was genius. I'm like, there's nobody in the town doing what you guys are doing. So the capture rate had to be monumental, I would think. But and then on top of it, just knowing you and your family at this point, it's just good people to work with. So kind of go into the niche that you guys had built over the years before the merger.
Well, it's interesting because how we've lived by so many names since we got started. So it was Build Cincinnati first, and then we realized, well, we were doing stuff in Northern Kentucky, so we guys probably should have loved. So then we changed to Build Collective, and then of course, like as we were Build Collective, I remember Fueled Collective was just getting announced. It's like, wait, what is going on here and stuff like that. I'm like, actually, they just have a really great name.
We announced it first, though.
Like I think they actually may have beat us to it too. So, but it's just a great name, So we were Build Collective for a number of years. And then, of course, we merged with Scott, which I know we'll get into a little bit. But, when we first started, we were just trying to find opportunities because we knew my dad used to always say this, so I can't take any credit. He used to always say it always starts with a good piece of land. If you control the land, you control the opportunity. And that was it. So, and that's still how we kind of leverage the whole new construction and land division is like, if you can find great pieces of land and have those routinely kind of come to your plate, then other people will come to you. So that's really what we've all built our entire business on is like, how can we build a brand, a group, a company that attracts people to us? Yeah. So we're a resource to so many folks just because we're like, hey, you know what? We'll look at 100 pieces of property to find one. Again, that's another quote I steal from my dad. That's what he used to say. He's like, you look at so many dogs, maybe they're overpriced, maybe the zoning doesn't work, maybe it's just too small of a lot, whatever it is, to find one. So a lot of people don't love that because you look at so many and you're wasting a lot of time. You spend a lot of time doing that. So the capture rate's good once you get to a certain level, but in the beginning it's really tough. So from probably 2010 to 2014, 15, we were just, finding a handful of lots. But once we got to the point where we knew what we were looking for knew exactly what the model looked like, what the lots had to look like in various different areas, they can be a little bit different, right? But we knew exactly what we were looking for. Then we could go out and find more builders to say, hey, we're coming up with these opportunities. Mr. Builder, Mrs. Builder, we have these. Are you in the market to look? So I like to call us the bookends of deals. So when I say that, it's like, we're there at the very beginning where we're finding a piece of land, right? Like, so we're finding the opportunity. We're working with that seller to sell it on market, off market, whatever it is. Then we're also working with the buyer at the end of the job. That could be the builder, but more than likely that's the end buyer, like the person like you all, if you wanted to buy a house, you're buying a house over in with MI, or you're trying to find it, you're out there like say, hey, where are the opportunities? We're working with both those folks. The in-between is really just building the house. There's a lot there. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to undersimplify that or oversimplify. There's a lot there. So we just help with those two. If you solve those two problems, building people know what to do. The builders know what to do. So that's kind of what we build our business on is finding the opportunities, finding the buyers, connecting the buyers with the opportunities. And then the rest is kind of come with it. So which is essentially what a real estate agent does, right? Yeah. It just might be a little bit more monitoring MLS, and MLS is kind of it's a great tool. We leverage that tool like crazy, but we do a lot of off markets as well, because quite frankly, most teardowns or most developed lots, they're a challenge to get them up to the point where you want to list them. So sometimes it's a lot easier. Like some of these houses, the floor is caving in. There's squatters that have gotten in the houses. There's all kinds of things that have happened. So those don't want to necessarily go in the market. So that's kind of how we got into it, because we were just saying, okay, hey, these are our 5 markets. Let's just say Montgomery, Indian Hill, Madeira, wherever else it is, High Park. And we'd say, let's go find the streets that people would want to live on. Where would you want to build a house on? And then to start talking to neighbors, see what they want. Wow. Problem is over time, less, more homes get sold. There's less teardowns out there, so it thins up. So then that's when you move to different areas. Sure. And that's kind of what we've been leveraging as of late, is just finding other opportunities, which I think there's never going to be a shortage of opportunities unless you're only looking at a small area, which eventually that'll go away. Right. And it's been a great business to us. We've really, the only thing we have in this world is our reputations. Right. So as long as we treat people well, that's the only thing we live by. We get back to people, we treat them as well as we can. We answer the phone, we do what we say we're going to do. And that's all we can really be asked of. And if we do that, it's worked pretty well. Yeah.
I mean, and then I mean, circling back on reputations, you guys start crushing that avenue of real estate, and then all of a sudden I used to call them ripples. And then when this merger took place, I was like, this is a tidal wave, man. Like, this was a tidal wave merger that you and Scott Euler, did. And I was like, this endeavor is truly going to get people talking. And it did. But I see the benefits from both sides. Like, you have a resale specialist and then you have a build specialist, and he knows that you do one thing better and he does one thing better.
Exactly.
Why not leverage each other's relationship and, talk about that, man? Because I talked to Scott during the middle of this. And in fact, there's another realtor that was going to try to develop some land. And he was, I'll be honest, he's a great real estate agent. You have a lot of respect for him. I just won't use his name. And it's just a funny story because he approached Scott, and you probably know this story, but he was like, hey, would you be interested in co-oping and going in on this development with me? We'd be up against Mike Hines, who's the best at this. Yeah. And this agent recognizes that. Yeah. And Scott's like, I wanted to be like, I'm in the middle of merging with Mike Hines right now. He's like, no, I don't think I want to take that venture on right now. And he's like, we're in the middle of figuring out the merger. And then now that agent found out, he's like, no wonder, dude. Like, he's like, why wouldn't you want to merge with Mike? He's like, that's such a great idea. So
I'll tell that agent sorry.
No. Once I tell you off air, you're gonna be like, all right, I love that guy. Yeah. But like, it was just, I mean, two best at what they do. Talk about the merger and how that came to fruition.
Sure. Well, it's funny you're talking about that other agent, not Scott. There's so many great agents out there. Like, I know. We all know agents that maybe aren't our favorites, but the overwhelming majority of people I work with, I like just whether it's in our company or outside of it. And I feel like there's a lot of great people on there. And Scott was unique because for the past 10 years, we'd always just talked about things, like just ideas. Scott's the single best agent I know about sharing, like meaning sharing everything. He'll share his playbook. He'll share Joe King, who's the regional vice president or regional president of Coldwell Banker in this, like, I don't know if it's the Midwest or where it is. There's quite a few states that he's responsible for. He was saying earlier today, just like how great agents are, especially like out of a few of those offices that share everything. So it's not, he was talking to an agent that came into town and only wanted to share out of town. He didn't want to share in his own pond because he was nervous about people using that. I'd give Scott that much credit because like he would, if you were competing against me on a listing presentation for in person, he would probably give you his listing presentation just to go to there. He's that like, he doesn't think twice about it. Just the right thing to do.
Sure.
So he's always done that. So I've asked him his opinion and for advice for years. He's done the same for me on new construction. So we just kind of shared and his team has always been awesome. They're like the people we always enjoyed working with.
Yeah.
So we didn't go into this being like, okay, hey, let's again, like this is a master plan. Let's merge together. We just thought about sharing some resources to make us a little bit more efficient, give us a little bit more opportunity. And the more we talked, the more we just realized, well, maybe we should just kind of bring this all in together. I remember Heather sitting we were trying to come up with the name of our company. We were trying to come up with all kinds of crazy names. We had some terrible ones, let's be honest. And we're sitting there in a conference room at our old office. I remember Heather's just like, why don't you just call it Euler Hines or Hines Euler? Let's just go. And then the reason, Scott at the time is selling a ton more than us. So we thought it was right to go with OH. Because HO didn't sound as good at marketing materials. So we had to kind of watch ourselves a little bit there. But rightfully so, Scott is like, he's such a dynamic personality. You guys know him. Sure. His team is first class. We did it for so many great reasons, but then there was so many reasons that were uncovered as we started working together. Like I'll give an example. Today, we're looking at a piece of property over in Blue Ash. And the homeowner was like, hey, what does it look like as a tear down? What does it look like as a resale? And what does it look like as if we bought a couple properties next door to us into development? So you're running 3 different scenarios and you're proposing that out there to them. Wow. We would be really good at the development and the tear down side, but then the resale would have been. So Heather's running us some really good comps to make sure we have that. She knows that area like the back of her hand. She's going to help us run. And Heather Stallmeyer's who I'm talking about, who's our director of listings. She handles all that.
She's awesome.
She can carry so much weight, does so much work, and never ever complains about any of it, unless Scott and I are in a meeting and just talking, which we tend to do. And even then she won't. But so we're doing that. So now the package that I'm going to deliver later this week is so well built out. We knew a little bit of that would happen. We didn't know how great it could really be.
Sure.
So like and that happens for all of the agents that work with us, our partners, everybody that's on the team is like, everybody has all these resources to leverage each other. Mm-hmm. So like our value prop when we talk to people is like, I don't know everything. Scott doesn't know everything. Bobby doesn't know everything. But somebody on the team probably has an expertise that is incentivized for them to help me and for them to help somebody else on the team, because we're all in it together. So that's how the merger came together. Just again, another long story is like, we just kept talking. I mean, we would meet at the Dunkin' Donuts over in Montgomery and just game plan some ideas and throw some stuff out there. And then next thing you know, we're merging together. Yeah. It was not a thought through thing. By the time we actually made the decision to do it, then our team helped us curate a plan to kind of launch it together. We hired a branding company who crushed it. They did an awesome job. We couldn't be more thrilled. We always say it's the best money we ever spent, because this team, or this branding company, they just knew the business. They knew everything about it. So we went from there, and the rest is kind of history. That was in September of 2021, I believe, that we merged. So, 3.5 years or so later, it's been pretty good.
It's already been 3.5 years.
I know, right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Think about that with my kids. It's
I
like,
know.
gosh, time just flies.
It really does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I keep messing up their ages. I keep messing up the anniversary date of when we did all this kind of stuff. It's just, you start to get old and your memory gets a little foggy on this front. So, yeah.
Well, I just think it's a perfect combination. I think from personalities too. Not everybody gels well together.
Sure.
And that's always a fear of people when they do talk about a merger or giving up a piece of their sweat equity. Like it's
Absolutely.
like, we're kind of, we're trusting you with this. And it doesn't work out for everybody, but to see you guys be able to take it and then just absolutely explode is really cool. I mean, and there's and just to your respect, like, name dropping Bobby and then talking about Heather, and I could throw Laura Wogan out there.
Laura, Bryce,
you want to talk
Brandy,
about Bryce, everybody,
awesome. Yes,
like there's an equestrian aspect to Laura.
Absolutely.
You guys unintentionally have all these little niches that come and really create a one-stop shop for your company.
We get to pull each other in.
Yeah. And it's it's people helping people. From that standpoint, I just think that you have all of the right people in place to be successful.
You're totally right.
It's truly incredible.
We have the best people around us. Like when we hear mergers don't work out, I'm sure there's tons and tons of reasons and partnerships and all that kind of stuff. But like when the other person across the table from you or across the office from you, that person is just a good, solid human being. And I can say that about every single person that we work with. Yeah. And hopefully other companies feel the same way. I don't know if they all do, because I know this for a fact with ours. We just have good people. Like they're just like, they would bend over backwards to do anything for us. Yeah. And I like to think that we would do the same for them. And it just, you can't replicate that. And that's also due to the fact that, like, we've been doing this for a little while. I mean, Heather and Scott have been working together for 10 plus years. Mm-hmm. And Becky and I have been working since the day I started. Even before I started, I've been working with Becky. My dad and I have been doing this. My brother and we talk about Laura, Bryce, and we had Stacy and Maggie just join us as well. And like, there's so many awesome people that we take a lot of credit. Let's be honest. Okay. Like, we do. You mentioned numbers in the very beginning. I mean, keep in mind, those aren't my numbers. They're not Scott's numbers. They're the team as a whole. Yeah. So like one big portion of this is like giving them the credit's due is like, Laura will do $30+ million this year. Bob as well. It's like they're doing a ton of business. If they were on their own, it would be, top level status, right? That. Mm-hmm. So like, we appreciate all the accolades, and it's some pretty cool stuff because it gives us the resources and leverage to be able to do things we wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. But if it wasn't for each one of them, it wouldn't. Yeah. Our team wouldn't be nearly as impressive. So we're pretty fortunate, and it's nice to have built-in therapists for all of us. It's like when days are not going well. I was just talking to Bryce about a deal. We were both having a new construction deal where things weren't going well, so we were kind of sharing stories and getting advice and insights from each other on what we can do differently to try to fix it and how we can say something to kind of make the client a little bit more comfortable moving in the direction that they're hoping to move. It's just like little things like that. Just getting to have people. This business can be lonely. So if you don't have the right people by your side, I mean, you guys know it as business
Sure.
owners.
Well,
Not too many people you can talk to.
I could say that to Laura's, to Laura Wogan's testament, like just saying, when we talk to her, she's like, let me have the hard conversations. So I can only imagine from like a teammate perspective, like if you're messing around or not doing what you should, like I could just see Laura being like, hey, get it together, Mike. Let's go. Let's go. Like she's a very straight shooter.
Yes.
Like, and I have a lot of respect for her. Like, I just think she's a really great real estate agent too. So like
she is.
And then it's also a testament to you guys as well, because nobody leaves. Like everybody wants to stay a part of the group. And Laura's the first one to say it. She's like, I don't need my name on the door on it. She's like, I just love, the people that I work with, and I love what we're doing.
Yeah.
And she's like, we're the best team in the area. So
we do. Every day we try to be mindful of the people choose to come and work with us. And we're not perfect business leaders, just to be, we have a lot to learn. We make mistakes, but we always try to lead first with this like compassion and thought about them as much as we possibly can. I mean, and they do the same to us. Yeah. I mean, cause let's be honest, it's like they're our partners. Like there's no levels in our company. Yes, Scott and I might have our names on the door and whatnot. Luckily I have a brother and a dad that's had the same name. Yeah. Because my dad and I started this together. So it's like we're all on the same level in this. When it comes to talking to a client, it doesn't matter who you're talking with. You're talking with a decision maker that's going to make decisions. Yeah. They don't have to run things up the food chain. We got a good team. That's awesome. You mentioned it, like Laura's been doing this. She's actually been licensed longer than I've been licensed. So she's done this for a long time. Yeah. She knows what she's doing. And so she's seen a lot of things. And she's
hilarious too. Like I just think she's a good person. So
we had Teamwork Tuesday. We were busting her chops yesterday.
Before we dive into the advice portion of this, this just popped into my head after you were talking. Like, when you guys are with the family for holidays and stuff like that, what is the over under of like, or what's the percentage or probability that you guys aren't going to talk about work?
It's so funny
when you get everybody
that
in the same room.
Patrick, I feel like you were on the phone with me the other day because I literally talked about this. Somebody asked like, "How was your Thanksgiving? Did your dad and your brother come over?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we just had a gigantic business meeting. It was just all of us. We just talked about what's going on." And it is kind of
plug the Remington room real quick.
Yeah, we probably should, right? Yeah, but we honestly, like my dad's really good. He doesn't normally bring too much work stuff home with him. Like normally he turns it off. And Bobby as well. Like we'll just crack open a beer. When we get together now, it's all about the grandkids, right? They're my not my grandkids. I'm not there yet, but like it's the kids. The kids are all running around. But it's impossible not to talk about work, especially when you enjoy it. Like this business, man, it takes a lot out of you. But I get a lot of satisfaction out of it, and I think so does my dad. So does my brother. I know other agents. There's days that are tough, but like so you can't help but talk about it because it's one of your hobbies. Yeah, there's I have a lot of hobbies. I have a lot of things I like to do and I'm into, but real estate is still like number one. If I have an extra hour in my day, if I've already worked out, I've already done something that's important to me, I don't mind working for another hour to get some stuff done.
That's awesome.
At this, I mean, my kids go to bed early, so that kind of stuff. So my wife and I would watch a show, or you get some stuff done. You do whatever it is. Just if you enjoy it, you don't want to be tied to it and have to do it. But if you enjoy it, you just do it. So going back to Thanksgiving, when you're sitting there and you're hanging out, yes, business is talked about. There's no doubt about it. But I try to turn that off. I try not to make it all about that. Like I try to be as insightful or mindful, I should say, about, hey, let's not bring up this deal because this deal could make us
it's going to make me not happy on a very thankful day. Yeah,
that's exactly. Or we'd be extra thankful if the deal came together, right? Yeah, because there's been a Thanksgiving or two that you work and that sort of thing. But it's hard to shut it off. And I mean, you guys see it. It's
sure.
It's hard to just hit the off button and then kind of zone out because no matter what, some call could come and surprise you.
Yeah. I like to think of that as like anybody who owns a business will work 40 hours a week and think about the business 90 hours a week.
Yes.
So like when you're around like-minded individuals, it's probably easy to have those conversations.
It is.
Or just have them brought to the table.
Yes. So. And that's the beauty of partnership too. Yeah. Like you get to have somebody else that's there to talk to.
Yeah.
I just talking to Scott on the way here, just about some things that we got to get worked through. And sometimes you just need to vent on that kind of front. And you can only use your family members there long, that kind of front. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Do you have any questions before we go into advice?
No, I'm dying to hear some advice. But before we do, we always like to give just a quick shout out to Back to Back, thanking them for letting us use this beautiful studio here.
Yeah, it's a great space you have here.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah. So yeah, Back to Back Ministries is a global nonprofit orphan care organization with their sights set on providing care for today and hope for every tomorrow. From Cincinnati, Ohio to Hyderabad, India, staff teams around the world are stepping into hard stories and choosing to stay. To learn more about the work Back to Back does, how you can get involved, and why a global team won't stop until every child is known and loved, you can visit backtoback.org today. So, with that said, though, what kind of advice would you offer? We can do this in a couple ways. You could offer advice to buyers, sellers, people looking to build, or to other agents, or both, whatever you want to do.
Sure. Well, let's go twofold. You know, the way I got to where I am, and I'm so fortunate, is I had a mentor. Like, I mean, my dad was there to help coach me, give me good advice, and let me make mistakes. So I'd say, like, if finding a mentor is so important in this business, finding somebody that can help guide you, and if it's not a mentor, a coach, somebody that can bring in. I think coaching is underutilized in a lot of ways, or maybe it's just only some small little microcosm of what you need to do. Having some coaches for any aspect of your life, whether it's business, wellness, leadership, anything along those lines. But buyers and sellers, that's a great question because some need more guidance than others, right? I think that's why we're where we are in the industry is like there's no one size fits all for anybody. So I look at it from like, I'm going to just, what I know well is new construction, right? And I know new construction, if you're with the right people, you have the right team, it goes way smoother, you know? So assembling the right team is the hard part, right? Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So if you're a client looking to build, you know, if you're somebody that's saying, you know, I'd love to build a house, since you don't know what you don't know, you got to know the right people to ask the questions. And whether it's us, an agent, a builder, the internet, just make sure you're equipped with a good team of group people around you to answer those questions. I think that's the number one. Do your research is an easy one to say, and with reviews and all that kind of stuff, it should help. Most everything that you need to know lives on the internet, which is pretty good. But I've done more deals than I can probably count on new construction, and I'm constantly surprised. There's something new that pops up. So it's about how quickly can you pivot or react, or do you have the right people on your side? We're going through this on a property right now where I had to call in a few relationships and favors really to try to figure some things out to understand where to go from here. So I just think good people around you is more important than it could ever be. I think that's probably just advice for anything in your life, right? Family, friendships, all that kind of stuff. So just having the right team assembled around you in every aspect of your life. I don't know if that's any good advice, but that's just,
I think it's great advice, man.
You know?
I was going to ask from the building standpoint too, but you're spot on. Just like trying to find a professional, because when we built, we did a production builder. It wasn't custom, but it's all similar, right? Like, but you know, the questions we had after far exceeded the questions that we had before the process. Yeah. Because we don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
And then once you go through, you're like, man, I wish I would have asked this. I wish I would have asked that.
Yeah.
And, from that standpoint, that's why I think you're such a great resource for not even just clients, but other real estate agents.
Yeah.
I've told we work with a lot of the top agents, and I was like, have you ever had a conversation with Mike Hines? Because I guarantee he would explain everything that you would want. And I appreciate that. I think I've sent a few people your way, whether or not I called you, but I've sent a few people your way just to pick your brain because, yes, you can research stuff on the internet, but, knowing that you've been through all this, so many different times and seen so many different scenarios. I asked you about property out in Claremont County, and you just started rattling off, the septics might be this might be this, then the county might be that. And I'm like, okay, so there's a lot going into this. Like if we ever decided to build in Claremont County again,
there's so much. And it's funny. I know a decent amount. My dad knows that much more. So I can always go to him and then he knows people that know more than him. So he can go to those. It's just, this is a complicated business. And I'm always flattered when agents call. I have a rule that I try to call anybody back within 24 hours and really same day if we can. It's just like, even if you can't spend an hour on the phone with them, just a few minutes. And I tell you what, like selfishly, you talk to people, if you help somebody else out, they're probably you're going to need them at some point in time. Maybe they're going to bring something back to you. Shouldn't do it for that reason. Right. But it's like, this world is all about what you get, what you give out. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what I've tried to build my life off of. At the same time, that can stress you out because you're trying to help and try to be out there to help so many clients. The more clients you have, the more you're going to have to make sure you give a little bit of just give a little bit of you to all of them, right? So just bigger is not always better. Right. I'll say that from the same thing, because like you want to make sure you give enough time, and that's why the mergers helped us, because now I can shrink a little bit of the pool of the folks that I work with, so it's the right ones. Going for the agents as well. I mean, an agent, if they're calling on a property in Mount Oro, probably have no idea what to tell them. Like if I give some high level pointers, but I'm the wrong person on that kind of front. But if it's a single family tear down lot in Montgomery, I'm probably going to know every detail that there should be to know about it, minus what's buried maybe 10 feet under the ground. Right. You know, so like, I like helping people out because I've been helped my entire life. Like it's I'm so fortunate on that. I know a lot of people work really hard to get to a level where they can kind of like scrape themselves out, and they do it by themselves. I know a lot more people though that have had people that have been on their side to help them get there. And I'm one of them. So I'm fortunate.
You're so humble, man. And you're so giving. You really are. And it's like, it's refreshing to talk to real estate agents and people like yourself. Just, cause I'm willing to just say that at this point, man, you're just a friend, you know, I mean, we started as work acquaintances and, you know, if anybody ever asked me, I'd be like, man, he's a good friend. He's just a guy that's willing to help and do what he can to be, you know, to be a good reflection of your name and then also your business as well. So like, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast and all your support for real producers and everything like that, man. That definitely does not go unnoticed. And I have so much appreciation for you and Scott and the team. And thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing,
thanks for doing this, guys. I got to get like just before we close up shop too. I mean, real producers, next door foes. You guys are two of the top business owners in the city too, and especially in our world. So I think that.
And then P&G is right below us.
Yeah. Well, Albertsons might not be after we just got the news today. It just working with other business owners that hustle, work hard, are good people. Yeah. I mean, man, this isn't easy, you know. So and. Lastly, I mean, we're all kind of full of shit sometimes. I think we all pretend like we know what we got going on and what we're doing. Yeah. We're just doing the best we can every single day. So I say that because you made it sound like I had all the answers. I only got probably 7 or 8, and then I got to figure out somebody else after that. So
I'm a big advice seeker as well, my friend. 100%. So,
well, thanks, fellas. I appreciate you being on here. Again, congrats on the podcast, guys.
Yeah, thank you for everything, man. We appreciate you.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Cincinnati Real Producers Podcast, powered by Nextdoor Photos. We do this every week, so be sure to subscribe so you can follow along. If you liked our conversation, leave us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts.